What's up, everyone? We are back. This is episode 22 of the Nashville Stampede Out of the Park Baseball 24 series. I am recording a voiceover because I'm an idiot and I did not have the microphone selected when in OBS when I had to go record this. So I'm going to do like a voiceover, kind of going through what I did in this episode. It's a little bit of a longer episode that I recorded. I have here that it's a little less than an hour. So I think I'm going to fast forward through a lot of it. I'm kind of going through here, showing how we did in April and May. Pretty good all around. April, we were pretty solid. We had a nice little win streak and then lost 5 in a row kind of to end the month. So that April was okay for the most part. And then May, a good month as well. So overall, really successful start to the season. And what I was saying is I'm probably going to speed through like the draft because I took a long time making these picks and everything. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Adley Rushman here, you can see he's having an insane season at this point, on pace for 8.8 WAR. Had a really good April and a really good May as well. May was quite a bit better than April. 193 WRC plus, as you can see. Good batting average and everything. So he's definitely getting the job done for us, and a good free agent signing for sure at this point. You can see the rest of the lineup. Aiden Harris having a really good season, a 163 WRC plus, playing really well as our DH, pretty much exclusively playing there, as you can see there. Has not even played the field yet this season. And then, I was adjusting the playing time. I want to give Harris some more time at DH and less Stroman. Ronald Acuna is having a really nice season. Kira also having a really good year. He seems to always get off the hot starts and kind of fade as the season goes on. But his range is back up to an 80, which is interesting. I don't even think I noticed that when I originally recorded this, but yeah, April and May both really good. And we're going to go as far as Kira could bring us. And then Ronald Acuna, the big trade in the offseason, brought him in to solidify kind of our offense in the corner outfield. Played really well in April. May, not quite as good, but still a really good start to the year for him. I glanced over Arroyo here, but Frank Correa, a 207 average, which is really disappointing. But, he's still walking a ton. Then I finally get back to Arroyo, I think, at this point. And he was having an awesome start to the year, 137 WRC plus, really good April, solid May as well. So, yeah, our team really coming along here offensively, at least that part. I kind of made a point here to highlight the drop off after that, after those top guys in the order. So Molinax was like 15% below league average according to WRC plus, which far cry from the season prior where he was our 3 hitter for a lot of the year. The rest of the kind of the motley crew of an infield, at least on the left side, hasn't been doing great at this point. So Carter Smith, a pretty disappointing year. I thought he can maybe break out and be a really quality super utility guy, but just has not done it to this point. Jaden Stroman, another guy I thought maybe could break out. He was a former second-round pick just a couple years back. He hasn't really done much. Grady Emerson has been a black hole at third base after a really good spring. And Alex Harrington also been incredibly disappointing as our starting second baseman. And then Eric Kennedy, our Rule 5 pick, has been atrocious as our backup center fielder / pinch runner, playing a couple different roles for us. And then, so we're second in runs scored at this point. Third in runs against, and you can see I'm kind of highlighting the black hole at the bottom of the lineup with Emerson, Molinax, and Harrington. Emilio Marquez has kind of evolved into a different pitcher here. He's kind of going deeper into games, throwing. I think I'll highlight the pitches right here. How many pitches he's gone into starts here. Yeah, you can see he's like throwing high 80s, 90s. He hit 103 his last start. Like, my manager's using him a lot different this year, and I really like it. Kind of leveraging our best pitcher, even though the results haven't quite been there, especially compared to last season. Drew Hackenberg continues to be like a really solid quality number 2 starter, giving us length and overall just been really solid. Then it kind of falls off after that. After Hackenberg, Lodolo, you can see there, 4.69 ERA. He's been incredibly hot and cold this year. I probably said that like 15 times in this episode because it's true. He either has a really good start or he gets blown up for 7 runs in 4 innings, as you can see right there. I got destroyed in his last start. He had been rocking an ERA under 4 before that start. Inflated almost a full run. So Lodolo's been Nick Lodolo. Milt Almond, a guy who had high hopes for, had an awful start to the year. You can see April ERA. It doesn't even do it justice. He had a couple of really bad starts at the beginning of the year. But has bounced back, pitched better in his last couple. And hopefully he can solidify and become a really quality number 3 starter for us in the future. And then Talon Bell has had to step in. Had 3 really good starts to begin his career, and then stinker against Texas. But yeah, he had to step in. Talking about Tanner Houck, he was out before the beginning of the year, and I already talked about that. And it took me a little bit to figure out who the heck was our 5th starter, and he was in our rotation, or in our bullpen at the time. And it was Jax Bishop. Sorry, I couldn't think of his name. And he was really bad as a starter. You can see there, 6.16 ERA in 6 starts. But as reliever was much better in 16 innings. And hopefully he's a long-term starter, but at the moment he's in the bullpen, and Talon Bell pitching well enough to earn himself a spot there. So the rest of the bullpen, really solid. Christian Clark has been a great free agent signing. See Sam Simpson down there, in ERA under 1. We'll get to him really quick. But yeah, Clark's been awesome. $6 million was on him for. We have him for another season, I think. I think it's a team option. I'd have to go look. But yeah, Merton Blanco increased his strikeout rate almost 4 this season. Results not quite there, but they should come around. Braylon Marquez has been good. Jared Simpson's been a guy who's been up and down. And Chivili, Simpson, and I kind of highlighted Simpson here. He was off to an insane start. And Angel Lopez have all been quality middle relievers. And then Jared Simpson, been up and down. Only thrown 5 innings. A little early to make a decision on him. I was talking about some other guys who'd been up. There wasn't a ton to report. Johnny Colburn, one of our top pitching prospects, down in AA, has not made an appearance in the majors, obviously. Wagner Castillo has not yet appeared. Pierce George has been horrible. Chris Grimm is the guy I highlighted. He's been awesome in AAA for us, and hopefully can be up by the end of the year. Austin Jerker has not been with the team. Aiden Knack, same story. Alex Kranzler was the guy who was up for a little bit. 7.1 innings, too early to make a call on him and what he could be. Then Orlando and Nam have not been up either. Kind of redundant with each other, but that's something we can address in the future moving forward. Then Miguel Diaz was another guy. We DFA'd him. He was really no good in a couple starts, and a couple relief appearances for us. So yeah, here, not really talking about anything important, but here we go. Robbie Watkins, sorry, this is like repeating in my ear. A pitching prospect. He's obviously out for the year. That sucks. Then we're talking about Isaiah Bellamere, Luis Moreno, a couple guys in the international complex. Sorry. Johnny Colburn is an interesting case. So his ratings continue to progress, but he has gotten no results in the minors. Has not even been like an average pitcher to any level, but continues to come along. Continues to be just outside the top 100 in prospects. So hopefully he can, keep improving and eventually reach the majors, but the results are going to have to come eventually if he wants to be a successful pitcher. Fastball, slider, sinker, none of them really out pitches, but he's more of a control movement guy. Not going to blow you away with stuff. And geez, he could probably be like a 220 inning guy with the good control and high stamina. So could be a valuable arm once he gets up. Eddie Els is the next guy we talk about here. He's been awesome in AAA. 4th round pick back in 2030. And he's pretty much major league ready. And he'll make it up to the majors probably before the All-Star break, if I remember correctly. Not to spoil anything, but it's pretty obvious he'll be up in the majors. He has some platoon issues with the lefties and righties. I don't think I realized that at this point until I brought him to the majors, but he's much better against righties if you want to go back and rewind. And yeah, I was kind of talking about how he would fit into the lineup. Grady Emerson would be the guy, probably on his way out, just because he's been bad and he's a lefty. Ellis can kind of fill in that spot. Steve Graysick, a guy who pitched bad in A-ball, high A last year, but pitching well this year. Just promoted him to Double A on this day in the save. Bob Long was a first-round pick last season. Lost a ton of scouting potential, which is unfortunate, but could still be a solid arm. Who knows? He's 22, almost 23. We'll have to see how he develops. He's been a good hitter, good enough hitter, I guess, but just an abysmal pitcher in high A this season. So he's going to have to continue to improve if he's going to be a long-term piece for us. Yeah, I guess I keep talking about him and his ratings and how they've gone down and stuff. And Zayed Amazon, I called him up to high A, even though he wasn't doing a ton down in A-ball. But I think he just had enough time there. Challenge him at another level. We'll see what happens. Matucci Amai, a fifth-round pick last season. Not doing much in A-ball, but still have hope for him long-term. Zach Hughes, another guy, just called him up to A. Obviously hasn't done anything this season. He's only been in the rookie complex. John Becerra, been really bad in A-ball. Good hitting prospect, but we'll see how he works out. Then we have a couple different guys here. Mike Haney, high floor, probably career minor leaguer, but maybe he can crack the rotation. He's had really good results in the minors so far, so maybe he could surprise some people. Boston Kellner, another guy, one of our oldest draft picks, 2025 second rounder. Probably ready for the majors. He spent a couple of years down in AAA. He's about a league average pitcher, but I'd like to give him a shot at some point. Sterling Patrick, another guy, 25 years old, 2026, 12th round pick. Maybe he can make an impact. He's got some decent ratings. Who knows? Maybe he can be something. And then Chris Bradley, a low-level minors guy. So we pause it here, and we'll be right back with the next update. All right, so here we are at July 5th. It's exactly mid-season. We had some reviews of our goals and whatever, and I wanted to point out this trade. So Juan Cisneros, you may remember this name. He was in a trade a while back with St. Louis. Has developed into a heck of a prospect, and was a good prospect when we traded him. It was in the Gage Workman trade. We'll get to that in a second. But his potential is boosted up. He was 20 years old, who hadn't developed yet, and I was really concerned. But he had a massive jump right at the end of the 2028 season. And yeah, he kind of came out of nowhere. So yeah, that trade, in hindsight, it doesn't look great. Workman gave us about 2 full seasons of playing in 3 years. Not even 2 full seasons. And was a good player when he was out there, but yeah, in hindsight, probably not a great trade because we didn't win anything with them, and kind of went to waste. And Cisneros is going to be a heck of a player, it looks like, but he's 22. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't reach that potential, or they have him in high A right now for some reason. But yeah. That could be a mistake in hindsight. I think I go through some discussion on our staff here. Travis Phelps, kind of on the hot seat here, has he's won us a World Series, but the last couple of years we've gotten pounced early in the playoffs. So he's gonna have to prove something this year and prove himself as a good manager, or else he might not be on his way out this season. I think we extended our pitching coach here. He's been good. We brought him up this year when our other pitching coach left. He's not making a ton of money, so easy enough to extend him. Greg Smith, who's been our hitting coach since the save started, he's done a good job. We've always kind of overperformed our offense, I think, at least compared to what we should be. Then Michael Hill, I think I let him go. He was getting expensive as a scout, and I don't know, maybe a new look could benefit us. I'd really like to get rid of our scout. And then, yeah, this is insane. Smith had a a 4 home run, 13 RBI game here. So he went into the game with 2 home runs and 11 RBIs. Left the game with 6 home runs and 24 RBIs. Just one of the most ridiculous stat lines I've ever seen. He boosted his OPS 1,000 over. Let's see, 130 points, 123 points actually. And yeah, what a ridiculous. You know, you don't expect Smith to be that guy. What is it, Chris Smith? I don't even know what his first name is. Absolutely ridiculous. A 4 home run game within the first 5 innings, albeit, which is just insane. Lodolo didn't pitch well, and Bishop was horrible. But yeah, when you have your guy driving in 13 runs and 4 home runs, absolutely insane. Yeah, they talked about him in the news and everything. Carter Smith, sorry, I don't know why I forgot his first name. But yeah, that's crazy. Easily could have went for 5. He had 5 at bats, and 13 RBIs is the crazy part. On those 4 home runs, he's averaging 3 runs on every home run. Had grand slam and 2 3-run homers. And I guess the other one must have been a 2-run home run. Then I sent a couple games here just to bring us up to the All-Star break, I think. You can see Carter Smith. I thought he hit another home run. That's why I checked, but it was just an RBI hit for him. He has 6 home runs on the year, I guess now. And Adley Rushman, I went over him because he continues to be insane. Had an even better June than he had May, which his May was insane too. A 205 WRC plus that month. Absolutely crazy how good he has been this season. Worth every penny so far, honestly. After a kind of underwhelming year last year, a 108 WRC plus, just boosted that up like 80 points, which is just crazy. Ronald Acuna's been totally worth it. On pace for 133 RBIs. Kira's been awesome. Frank Correa's got the average up to 234, which is respectable. He's walking 14% of the times. He's good to go. We're not worried about him at all. Eddie Els has been solid since he came up. It's only 52 plate appearances, but he's definitely provided a spark as kind of a strong side platoon option. You can see his splits. I finally pointed out here that his splits are pretty crazy. So he might just be a platoon guy, but at least he's a platoon against right-handed pitchers, which, you're going to face them probably 3 out of 4 times. 4 out of 5 times, maybe 3 out of 5 times, depending on the rotation. But yeah, that's huge to have him out there. Edwin Arroyo's been solid. Molinex has been much better, and Harrington maybe picking it up here. Who knows? And we talked about Carter Smith, how he kind of saved his season with 1 game. And Jaden Stroman's been okay. His fielding's come along pretty well. So maybe he's our shortstop of the future. But yeah, that part of our line is pretty key to kind of supplement the top part, which has been fantastic. And Emilio Marquez, he was pitching really well. Had one really bad blow-up game against LA in his last start, but overall been really good. He's on pace to pass his career high in innings pitched, which is really cool. Hackenberg's been good, not quite as good as he started, but still solid. Lodolo doing Lodolo things, hot and cold. Milt Almond's been solid, but he's kind of fallen off. Talon Bell, he had a couple bad games, but he's been really good besides those last 2 games. And then, go over some of the bullpen, whatever. I don't even know where I am at this point. So, send a couple games to get up the All-Star break. So, Arizona, I kind of talked about their demise and how bad they've gotten. They were kind of a powerhouse a couple of years back. Now they're like a distant worst team in the National League, at least. Jason Dominguez, MVP candidate. Lawler was a really good player. But yeah, they've fallen off hard at this point in the save. And the Royals have bounced back this year, I just noticed, which is good to see. But yeah, we wound up losing 2 out of 3 here to Arizona, which is, after I called them out, they beat us twice, so that's interesting. Oh, I went to the draft. Okay, that's what it was. Not the All-Star break. Yeah, Lodolo wound up getting hurt in this one, but he was pitching really well. We won 3-0, and here we go to the first-year player draft. This is where I'm going to try to kind of speed things up. I might just fast forward until I make the pick because this took me a little bit to do. So I'm going to pause. I'll speed this up until I finally make a decision on the pick. All right, so we wound up taking this guy, Jaheim Hines. We'll get to him in a second. I kind of went through a couple different players here. These were the first couple picks in the draft, actually. We didn't even get a chance to get any of these guys. But, yeah, you'll see some names pop up. Vicente Valdez was a guy I was looking at here. It took me a little bit to finally pick a guy. Mike Springer was another guy I was really considering. He was my second pick there, actually. But, yeah, this guy, Andy Bumbre, went up selecting him, and we'll get back to live speed just about now. So, Mike Springer, I kind of looked hard on him. The personality kind of scared me off just a bit. And then Andy Bumbre was the guy that I kind of settled on. A really high floor, or at least moderately high floor, and a really good pitch mix that I really liked. And, the build kind of scared me, 5'10", 160, but, could be a middle rotation pitcher, which I think he could be a little bit more than that, potentially. But we'll see how he works out. He was below slot, which I liked. And good stamina. So I wound up taking him over a couple different guys, but yeah, $1.2 million. We don't have a ton of money to spend. Then we had 2 supplemental picks here, which were good, which were really good value. For I don't even know who we lost. I guess it was Melendez and maybe another Workman, I guess. Probably was the other guy. So yeah, we're getting this pick for free, kind of. And I'll fast forward through this pick too. Yeah, so you'll see I go through a couple different guys, similar names to last time, but we wound up taking this guy, Balderas here. I'll go up to him in a second, I think. Vicente Balderas, corner outfield prospect, really high floor as a 21-year-old and way below slot, which is important because we have $2.7 million to spend. And then we have another supplemental pick 2 picks later. And this pick took a while to do, so I'm going to fast forward this one again. So with this pick, I was looking at a couple different guys. Kevin Pearson was one of them. And then keep seeing the same names like Ian Flanagan. I probably looked at 20 freaking times. And Joey Nelson was finally the guy that I kind of settled on here as a pretty high floor 21-year-old JUCO guy, college junior. He's on a JUCO. Interesting, 20-year-old junior. But yeah, I did wind up settling on him after all the dust had settled and everything. And, he had a pretty high floor. I looked at some other guys. Phil Doyle, he was interesting. There were a couple of high school pitchers that I liked. But overall, it was like, what do I want to get here? Like a dart throw. Zaire Sprav, we wound up taking... Or maybe we took Sprav here. I don't remember. Maybe it was Sprav. I think it was. This took me so long to make this pick. So we wound up taking Sprav, it looks like. I just spoiled the next pick, I guess, because it was Joey. What's his name? Go down. Please scroll down. Please scroll down. Oh my God, what the heck was his name? Ethan Darrow was a guy I really wanted to. He kept eyeing me down. Chris Poole was a decent prospect, I guess. But the guy we took, Joey Nelson was his name. I kind of considered him like a first base prospect, like weirdly enough. I don't think his turn double play was good enough to really play second base, but I guess he probably could in a pinch. The personality concerned me, and I kind of said in the video that this would be like a litmus test to see like how much personality matters in development, because he has a horrible personality but good upside, and it's kind of something like that. And I kind of just rolled the dice at that point. That was the pick. So I'll fast forward this one as well, and we'll move ahead to the next one. So yeah, this pick didn't take a ton of time to do. But we wound up taking Kevin Pearson, a guy I had looked at a couple times before. I think I'll highlight him again. I kind of went through that quick. Then the next pick, this one looks like it took forever, just looking at how long this clip is. So we'll send to this pick the next, I guess, when we make the selection. Yeah, so the reason I took Pearson is I thought he was a better prospect than that other right fielder that was out there. But I wanted to take in, I think it was Deshaun Efil. Yeah, I'll go over him a little bit, but he was a low slot guy that I really liked. I kept looking at Eric Kramer, but maybe I took him here. I think I needed to take someone who was under slot because I don't have a ton of money. Oh, yeah, then I went to go draft Kramer, and he wanted $2.6 million. And I was kind of talking about how I like him better than these guys and whatever, but I didn't wind up taking Kramer here just because the $2.6 million demand. Ethan Darrow was a guy I really wanted, but I didn't have enough money in my budget. You can see I only have like $200,000 left. So I had to go and kind of take some people, a guy I didn't really want. Chris Hill was a guy I wound up taking with the next pick. Spoiler, whatever. Or maybe one of the next picks. I don't think it was the next pick. But I still got a player here that I liked. I don't remember who exactly it was. But I do remember I was happy with the pick. Steve Carlton, I think we took later on, too. I could be wrong. But yeah, so we went over the picks. I was just going over some of my old draft history. So Molinex and Harris both made the majors, which Rowski is in Triple-A. Jake Eddington not with the team anymore, but I think he was in a trade at some point. Talon Bell's in our rotation. But Molinex was the big win there. Despite a bad draft class, he wound up working out. Drew Hackenberg was a big success. And then Max Clark, I went and looked at what he was doing. 2.4 WAR, on pace for 4.5, mostly from defense. But I'll take Acuna every day due to the surplus of glove-first outfielders that we had. And I knew he'd do well in Milwaukee. It's not like I thought he was a bad player. He just wasn't a good fit. And then Johnny Colburn, he was our third-round pick that year, and he's developed into a good prospect, number 84 in baseball at this point in the save. Jim Leaf was a guy I was looking at. I couldn't figure out if he was on the team. He was still with the organization. We took Matt Allman the next year. That's been okay so far. At least he's made the majors, That's kind of how I base these picks. Did you make the majors? Chris Grimm was a good pick. And then nothing really else from that draft, it looks like. Robbie Watkins, he's wait and see. We'll see how he comes back from the injury and everything. We took Jaden Stroman in that same draft, too. He's progressed well defensively. And personality-wise, he's a good fit on the team. Then Alex Harrington we took in the first round in 2029. Bob Long, we talked about him, kind of his fall off at this point, but could still be a good player. Who knows? A lot of time for Bob to turn things around. He pitched well in A-ball, so I want to promote him to high A, back to where he started the year. Man, I'm starting to lose my voice. This has been like 2 hours straight of talking through the first recording and through this one. So I just went over a couple of picks we already made. Joey Nelson, Kevin Pearson, get to see him there. Deshaun Eifel, another guy. And we took this guy, Sergio Engadez. Pretty high floor. Could be a good, utility infielder in the fifth round. I'll take that all day. Chris Hill's another guy. Steve Carlton, a bat first, second base, first base type. Sam Derryberry. I thought that name was hilarious, so I had to take him. Fastball splitter guy. Only high schooler. Joe Rando, high school pitching, starting prospect. Dusty Brooks is really interesting. Really high movement and control, but nothing else. I thought he was a fun player. A couple ticks in that stuff, like get up to 45, and that could be like an ace. We've had pitchers like that succeed for our teams in the past. Colorado, that pitcher we traded for from Oakland that I loved for years. I forgot his name, but Dan Miller was a college reliever we took. Tucker was another guy. Juan Medina, and then a bunch of, flyers at the end of the draft there. So, I'm just looking how far to the All-Star break. It was quite a while, so I wound up cutting it here, and we'll cut it here too. And I guess actually I'll just keep going because I can just go between clips. So we went and looked at the All-Stars, and this, I always like to see any names that I recognize here, and any guys may have played on my team that I let go of and appeared on all-star teams. But there was nothing really there. And looking through it now, I don't see anyone that we may have traded away or anything. I think Workman might have made the team. I didn't actually look, but Emilio Marquez, on the All-Star team, having a great year. A different season than he's had for us in the past, and kind of reinventing himself at age 33. He's incredibly dependable. The control is ticked up to a 70, so he just continues to be outstanding. Stamina still at a 40, so that's kind of a ticking time bomb if it goes down to a 35, but we'll take it as that comes, I guess. And then Alton Davis having another good year. Another guy I'd love to trade for at some point, but he's pretty much unattainable by Seattle. Gavin Hollowell, looked at him here because I've been trying to get him as our closer for years. But Adley, what a year. 186 WRC plus, on pace for 9.6 WAR, 344 average. He's been fantastic. Everything I could have asked for. It's kind of highlighting some of the big games he's had in there, like 3 hit games, 5 hit games, 4 hit games. He's had it all this season. He's been fantastic. I was looking at his BABIP, 403. He's more of a 300 career guy, so there's some regression probably coming. Gage Workman made it there as the second baseman. I'm seeing that now. So he's not in the AL. I forgot the Angels are in the NL in the save. And then, looking through some other guys. I was looking at Aiden Miller because that name was familiar, and then I went to go check. I was thinking of Aiden Harris. It was just our guy who is having a good year and maybe could have made the All-Star team if he wasn't a DH. Then you see Ronald Acuna made it in left field, 2.2 WAR, 3.1 WAR, 141 WRC plus. This screen's a little small, and then Kira makes it with 132. I kind of mentioned how he falls off as the year goes on, and it's kind of been the same story here. And Mike Trout's still kicking it at age 39, playing a good center field for the Angels. And that's the All-Star teams. And I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I think I might go look at... I think it was deadline. Kind of looking at trades. Maybe not yet. We're going over... Okay, yeah. So Jaden Stroman's definitely improved. The defense has come along big time. Alex Harrington also playing a little bit better than he started out the year. He's at like a 30 WRC plus, so it couldn't get much worse. Hopefully Stroman's the shortstop of the future. Molinex has turned it on a bit. Although probably not from the last update. But I was kind of saying here, like, I'm cool rolling out this team again, and seeing what these young guys can do, and I kind of walk back on that later in this episode, as you'll see. But we lost Lodolo for 4 weeks. Was having a really good start until he got hurt. But kind of a blessing in disguise. He's been, again, like, hot and cold this year, like good start, bad, like horrible start, and it was just difficult to deal with. So we put Jax Bishop back in the rotation along with Ullman, Bell, Hackenberg, Marquez. So we'll see what he can do. I was looking at the trading block here. So this is kind of where I started diving into trades. So McClanahan was the guy I really wanted. He's an awesome player on the last year of his deal. Ricky Tiedemann could bring him back. He's had a good year as a reliever. And had a couple decent years as a starter swingman type. He's not a bad player. I'm sure he would have worked out for us, but we got good value for him, and at the time at least, and that trade didn't work out. But neither trade, I guess, worked out. I'm just looking through some starters here, trying to figure out how to sort, because apparently I couldn't figure that out at the time. But there wasn't a ton out on the market. There was some older, fine pitchers, but are they upgrades of the guys that we got? I wasn't so sure, and sure enough, I didn't wind up making a big deal for any of these starters. Spoiler alert. Trent Baker was interesting, but is he better than any of the guys that I got? Jake Eater, same story. He's been decent as a swingman this year. Sawyer Gibson-Long was a guy I looked hard at. High control, high movement guy, 33 years old, kind of a late bloomer, you may call him. 2019 6th round pick. kind of started coming along in the last couple of years as a dependable pitcher, but yeah, I wound up passing on him. DL Hall was an interesting arm as well. There's really nothing else to report, so I'm going to skip ahead the rest of this, and we'll get to some actual trades in just a sec. Yeah, so none of these guys really piqued my interest. So I did make this trade. So it was a pretty interesting one. Want to bring back Jace Young. So Jose Soriano, who, infamous in the Nashville community, at least among me. This guy is maybe the biggest disappointment playoff-wise ever. And then Justin Jerger, playing fine in AAA, but a little redundant with some other guys. We got like Morlando and the other, what is it, Nam, I think? Yeah, he's the first baseman down in AAA. And a couple minor league filler guys. Vargas was kind of interesting, but not going to hold up the trade. And we wound up getting Cooper Criswell, who I want to put it in my bullpen. I think he could definitely start. Good leader. Having a decent season as a swingman in Philly. But I just wound up rolling with my guys for a little bit. Criswell was pitching out, did wind up pitching out of the rotation, or out of the bullpen, sorry. I haven't simmed any farther than the deadline, but I put him in my bullpen after this. We got Jace Young back, who Philly somehow got on a minor league deal after a really nice season with both us and San Fran. Much better with us, but had a decent year for San Fran as well. A dependable lefty option and at either second or third base. I think this is a no-brainer. So I wanted to pulling the trigger on that trade. Soriano and Criswell's fan reaction kind of canceled out. So, added these guys to the roster. So I had to make a decision here with the which guys to send down, and it wound up being I couldn't send down Kennedy because he's a Rule 5 pick. I like him. And I think he'd be a good long piece, like a 4th, 5th outfielder. It was kind of between Harrington and Stroman, so and Carter Smith, I guess, but Smith's versatility was a little bit more valued by me, I think. So, it wound up being Harrington that was sent down just pretty much because Stroman had some better defense and Smith was like a good corner outfield backup, so I can kind of trust him. So, yeah, we sent down Harrington. No really fault of his own. He was fine while he was up, but yeah, I was trying to find a spot for Criswell, and I wound up just putting him in the bullpen, even though I traded for him to be a starter. And he probably will start some games down the stretch, I'd imagine, but I'm going to roll with the guys that we kind of got here. You know what? Okay, yeah, so I made one more trade in this episode. I forgot about that. I simmed a couple of games here. Because I wanted to see how this rotation would kind of fill out and see how these guys kind of did as the post All-Star break started. So I had to put Jace Young in the lineup. So I was looking at splits here, kind of how guys are doing against lefties and righties. Harris was a guy who was good against both, so I wasn't really going to take him out. Stroman had some he was pretty rough against righties, so that made a decision to put Young in at second base against righties pretty easy on me. Stroman's not going to be a platoon guy in his career, but for now, Young, a really good bat to add to this lineup. And man, look at that lineup now. It's just crazy how much that kind of beefed it up and added some depth to it. Now instead of a black hole being our 9-hitter, it's like Mike Molinax, which is. He's batting third for us last year. I'm not saying he's a 3-hitter normally, but he was getting a lot of key at bats for us. And now he's at the back of the lineup. So I wound up starting Young at third base against lefties, keeping Stroman out there, keeping Carter Smith the backup. Eddie Els, he has the platoon issues obviously, so not going to start him against lefties at this point. Maybe in the future we'll give him a shot, but. If you're going to have significant issues, then I can't really roll the dice. So Smith will still play a little bit, every 5th at second, every 4th at third for Young and Stroman. Yeah, that lineup looks really, really dangerous now. Kind of built that up to some respectability, at the back end, which was really an issue for us to start the year. So, yeah, I love how this team looks here coming into the second half, and I don't think yeah, I don't think I made any more trades here. So I'm gonna sim forward. I kind of just sim some games and saw how these pitchers started. And yeah, we'll skip that just a bit. So there were a couple different starters I was looking at. I kind of just set my lineups here, and nothing crazy. Just going through a couple games, seeing how the pitchers pitched, my starters, and I wound up moving. So I made a trade here. Oops. Did I? I did not skip through it. I don't think. I was looking at Cam Robinson, bringing him back, but I wound up settling on this trade. Casey Mize, former number 1 overall pick for Gabe Geisler, who kind of minor league filler, having a nice year in Double-A, but hasn't done a ton as a pro player. If he breaks out, good for him. But Casey Mize, really nice arm, reminds me a lot of Tanner Houck. The low stamina, but a good pitcher and probably undervalued just a bit. And he's been a good pitcher as a swingman last couple of years for Baltimore and Texas, and Milwaukee as well, and Seattle the year before that. So he's been a quality pitcher, and yeah, we want to pull the trigger on that trade. Fans like it quite a bit, and I'd called him Aiden Knack for just a little bit of roll the dice on a pitcher and see how he does, and he was fine, but after we pulled the trigger on this trade, it kind of made him expendable. So we sent him back down. I was debating who to take out of the rotation between Bell, Almond, and Bishop, and I wound up moving Milt Almond to the bullpen. He'd just been walking too many guys, and he just wasn't giving us a chance to win. So Jax Bishop will stay, Talon Bell will stay alongside Marquez and Hackenberg, and it's. If any of these guys struggle, Almond can move back to the rotation, and we'll see what happens, I guess. And Cooper Criswell is an option as well. So this really just lengthened our rotation just a bit. Even if it didn't improve it a ton, it gave us more options to start instead of I don't even know who our next guy up would have been if we had an injury. Maybe Sam Simpson would get a start, but I'm not terribly confident in that. And yeah, that kind of I believe that wraps up the episode here. Not really much else to report, so just gonna go through up to the deadline here. Marquez had a really good start to end the pre-deadline, and with 2 months to go, hopefully he can emerge as a Cy Young candidate again. Now that he's adjusted to his new role. And Christian Clark, man, what a first half, or I guess a little more than first half, but 0.7 ERA, on pace for 3 RWAR. Really good start from him so far this season. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. We got a couple seconds left here. Just going over Jace Young, playing pretty well. That's what he does, and at least when he's in Nashville. So yeah, hopefully Harrington will probably be up at some point this season. Maybe we'll get Chris Grimm up. I talked about him being the next guy up for Dingler, who's been struggling, and Dingler's a defensive catcher, so it doesn't surprise me a ton. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.